Hello, everybody. It is Friday, January 6th, 2023, and Vince McMahon has returned to WWE. But is it all doom and gloom like everybody's making out on Twitter? Or is this going to be a bit of a minor thing and everyone's hyping it up too much? Well, today we're going to break down the facts of the situation. We're going to go through the statements which have been released, and then we're going to discuss it, and I'm going to discuss what I know about the situation and the four most likely buyers for WWE if it does get sold, which is looking likely at this point. But first of all, I'm going to introduce my two co-hosts for the day, Clark Taylor and Coby Galenzoski. How are you guys?
I'm doing well, my friend. Always happy to be here. I think this is day 14 in a row.
Ooh.
Streak is alive, and was just stoked in a weird way about the news cycle. I mean, it's crazy. Not that like I'm celebrating anything about the Vince return, but man, I know it's a new year, but what a year we've had in wrestling, man. Like, this is exciting stuff again in a weird way. It doesn't stop, you know?
Yeah, no, it gets crazier and crazier by the day, it seems. How are you, Coby? You good?
I'm all right. I'm back for the weekend.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because after a couple of days absence, Coby is back. And yeah, we got what an episode to return to. Whew. But yeah, firstly, wait a second, that's not the view. This is the one. Here's Jacob saying ready for the PowerPoint. And yeah, we've got a PowerPoint ready for you. And yeah, let's get it underway, right? I'm going to break down very quickly. I'm going to go through the statements which are released so we can break them down and explain to you, what they really mean. So that first paragraph, up until basically the first couple of lines of it, people always ask me what it means. It's just the press release, right? And it says that WWE announced today that he is... sorry, wait, what? There it is. Ignore me. I missed the top bit. Vince McMahon, the founder and controlling shareholder of World Wrestling Entertainment, announced today that he's taken the necessary actions to position the company to capitalize on a unique opportunity to maximize long-term value for all WWE shareholders. The actions communicated to WWE's board of directors today via written consent include the election to the board of Mr. McMahon, as well as Michelle Wilson and George Barrios, former WWE co-presidents and board members, and currently the co-founders and co-CEOs of ISOS Capital Management, and the requisite removal of the board of 3 directors. Mr. McMahon expects to assume the role of executive chairman of the board. Now, the first thing to break down from that paragraph is that, of course, Michelle Wilson and George Barrios are indeed back with the company. And it was Nick Khan who replaced those two when they left the company in 2020. Vince McMahon was not happy with the job they were doing at the time, and Nick Khan did a better pitch. They were then let go, and they created their own company, ISOS Capital Management. So this is big news that he's decided to bring them back with him, even though he got rid of them for not really doing a good enough job in his eyes in maximizing the company globally, which is what Nick Khan was brought in to do and to prepare for a possible sale. Then it continues. Mr. McMahon's new role will enable unified decision-making through the company's upcoming media rights negotiations and a parallel full review of the company's strategic alternatives, which Mr. McMahon believes is the right course of action and in the best interest of WWE and WWE shareholders amidst the current dynamics and the media and entertainment industry. Now, what it means by a full review of the company's strategic alternatives means that discussing a sale. WWE don't want to say that, but that's what Vince McMahon said in his original statement. As Mr. McMahon has communicated to the board, he believes there is a narrow window of opportunity to create significant value for all shareholders, and to do that, the strategic alternative review must occur in tandem with the media rights negotiations. He also expressed to the board that he believes these two initiatives require his own direct participation, leadership, and support as controlling shareholder. Now, what Vince is saying here is that he wants the sale of the company to happen at the same time that they renegotiate the media rights. Now, the way that you can possibly look at this is perhaps, in his eyes, he believes that NBC, for example, would only be interested in buying it if they were able to buy both shows, Raw and SmackDown, or Disney would only be interested to buy it if they could get both Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, that could be his argument behind it. However, in reality, you would expect the value of the company to be higher if they did have a concrete media deal in place for a couple of years. So whether or not this is really what he thinks, or if he wants back in the company, that's for you to decide. Then if we go to the next slide, you can see WWE is entering a critical juncture in its history with the upcoming media rights negotiations coinciding with the increased industry-wide demand for quality content and live events, and with more companies seeking to own the intellectual property on their platforms, said Mr. McMahon. The only way for WWE to fully capitalize on this opportunity is for me to return as executive chairman and support the management team in the negotiations for our media rights, and to combine that with a review of strategic alternatives. My return will allow WWE, as well as any transaction counterparties, to engage in these processes, knowing that they will have full support of the controlling shareholder. Before delivering written consent, Mr. McMahon sent 2 separate letters in the board in late December in which he expressed the urgency of his return to the company as executive chairman and his desire to work collaboratively with the board and management team. Following conversations with the representatives of the company both before and after Mr. McMahon's most recent letter on December 31st, Mr. McMahon determined, consistent with his rights as controlling shareholder, that the steps announced today are necessary to maximize value for all WWE shareholders. Mr. McMahon said, Ms. Wilson and Mr. Barrios are highly qualified directors whose professional experience positions them well to help the company achieve the best possible outcome in both initiatives. As former WWE co-presidents and board members, they are intimately familiar with the industry dynamics and the organization's operations, and have helped guide the company through past successful media rights negotiations. I look forward to working closely with them again, as well as the company's remaining directors and management team, who have my full support and confidence. WWE has an exceptional management team in place, and I do not intend for my return to have any impact on their roles, duties, or responsibilities. So from that line, right at the end of that paragraph there, it really does seem like Vince is saying that he does not want to interfere with what Stephanie, Nick, or Triple H are doing at the minute. Whether or not they remain to be true, again, is up to you to decide. I'll just quickly take a drink of water.
No worries at all, Ben. And I was going to say, I think it's very important to note in the, on the last slide and then into this one, just the controlling shareholder factor. And this is super important. He still is the majority shareholder in the company, and it's a part of why all of this is possible, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is how he has quite literally forced his way back into the company.
Right.
But it continues. In conjunction with the changes to WWE's board, Mr. McMahon's written consent also includes certain amendments to the company's bylaws to ensure that WWE's corporate governance continues to properly enable and support shareholder rights. These changes will be detailed in Schedule 13D amendment to be filed by Mr. McMahon and Form 8K to be filed by the company in the coming days. We don't know exactly what that means yet. It's going to come out in the next few days, and we don't want to speculate on it until then. No assurances can be given regarding the outcome or timing of the review process, sale. Mr. McMahon does not intend to comment further until the process has concluded, or Mr. McMahon has otherwise determined that further disclosure is appropriate or required. Then we move on to what we all woke up to this morning, and that is WWE's statement announcing that Vince has officially returned to the company. And WWE, it's a very short statement. WWE wrote, "Today we announced that the founder of WWE, Vince McMahon, will be returning to the board," said Chairwoman and co-CEO Stephanie McMahon, co-CEO Nick Khan, and Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque. I can never say his name.
Paul Levesque.
I can never ever say his name.
As is silent, it makes it tough.
Otherwise known as Triple H or Hunter. If you're
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
We also welcome back Michelle Wilson, George Barrios, to our board of directors. Together, we look forward to exploring all strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value. Now, considering that Khan replaced both Michelle Wilson and George Barrios, as I stated earlier on today, it's unlikely he's really that excited to welcome them back. But of course, it's a public press release. It's what he's going to say. As Vince McMahon stated yesterday, WWE has an exceptional management team in place, and I do not intend for my return to have any impact on their roles, duties, or responsibilities. Now, that line is very clearly to the fans, right? A lot of fans are worried that this means that Vince is coming back and he's changing it all up again. He's doing a superstar shakeup. But no, he's not. Hopefully not. They're basically trying to say that what he said is true, and he's not going to have an impact on their roles. And basically, the on-screen product for the time being will continue as normal. In connection with the change in the composition of the WWE Board of Directors and in cooperation with Vince McMahon as majority shareholder, the company intends to undertake a review of its strategic alternatives, with the goal being to maximize value for all WWE shareholders. There are no assurances that this process will result in a transaction. Now, this is very different to, not very different, but slightly different to McMahon's statement, McMahon's team's statement, which we read a minute ago, as they're just saying there might not be a sale. And that's, of course, what WWE are going to say, as if you say there's going to be a sale, it does lessen the value of your company. So that's not a surprise in the slightest. Vince McMahon, in his capacity as controlling shareholder of the company, has removed Joellen Lyons Dillon, Jeffrey R. Speed, and Alan M. Wexler from the board. Vince McMahon, George Barrios, and Michelle Wilson have been added to the board to fill the resulting vacancies. Now, you can read all the people who are currently on the board, but the big thing is what is at the bottom. And that is that Ignace Lahoud and Manjeet Singh have resigned from the board effective today. So Vince did not force them out. They left. And this is big news. We'll quickly go to this tweet right now from Sean Rossap of Fightful. If you don't know who he is, great journalist, very reliable journalist. And he's saying that Manjeet Singh was the leading investigator on the Vince McMahon investigation internally. So that kind of tells you all you need to know, that they're not happy at all about this. And it's really not a good look. Reese Kelly G on Twitter tweeted today, if WWE stock value eventually declines due to Vince McMahon's forced takeover, minor stockholders will have grounds to sue. Now, that could be factually correct, right? As we understand it, it has, there's reliability to that statement. However, this is the next part, which is a bit more. If those stockholders attempt to remove Vince, he has threatened to bankrupt the company. This is a nightmare. Now, I'm unsure where he got this information from. The other day, this exact Twitter account, and this tweet, by the way, today's gone. It's all over the internet, which is why I'm showing it. I wouldn't have actually shown it otherwise, because the other day he did a tweet saying that WWE are running the O2 because AEW are going to run the O2 or Wembley, when Tony Khan's made it obvious, even in recent months, that he wants to run Craven Cottage in the UK. So I would be absolutely shocked if he's somehow gone back on that, especially when Craven Cottage has a similar attendance figure. So that, I'm going to be honest, I take this report by the man known as Moonlight Graham with a pinch of salt, but
with a grain of salt for sure.
Yeah,
no question.
But it's the first half of that statement is true, that there could well be grounds to sue if the stock does decline. However, at this moment in time, it is up 20%. And that could be due to, a multitude of factors. The fact that a sale is obviously a big thing as well. Vince returning is undoubtedly going to be an element, right? It is. But the fact that there's a sale is a big thing as well to do with that. But as it stands, there's no issues with the stock. It's up 20%. Great numbers. You should have bought into it yesterday if you were going to buy into it. But yeah, we'll then go to here. There's going to be a WWE employee meeting today, according to Sean Rossap, and I believe this has been backed up by multiple sources at this point. So, of course, Wrestling Republic will update you on all our social media platforms and our website, wrestlingrepublic.com, when we know more about this specific situation.
And we do.
Yeah. We do.
We do right now, yeah. So, So just to say what they recently just posted on Fightful Select as a part of their select portions, they haven't said that the WWE employee meeting that was scheduled for 3:30 has been pushed back, and to note that it is not a talent meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a similar meeting to the one which they had when Vince left in the first place. They had a WWE employment meeting straight away, and talent were not involved. The talent meeting was a separate meeting, so that does not surprise me at all. Now, I'm now going to talk about the sale of the company. Is Vince McMahon going to sell WWE? It's very, very possible. Who could buy it? There are 4 likely potential buyers. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are not 2 of those potential buyers. Unless they form a consortium of, mass wealth, it's not going to happen, and it's almost impossible to happen, right? It'd be pretty much impossible at this moment in time. However, could Tony Khan buy WWE? Well, unless his dad got involved and put a lot of his money into it, then no, he cannot either. Also, WWE would not likely sell to Tony Khan or the Khan family. Now, who are these 4 potential buyers? They are NBC Universal, Disney, who, of course, WWE wanted to sell to last year, but Disney never put in the bid at that time, and perhaps the Vince situation affected that. Who knows? Comcast is the other one, and finally, WME Endeavor.
William Morris Endeavor, yeah. Right.
William Morris Endeavor.
Yeah.
And yeah, they of course own the UFC, and they are at this moment in time probably the most likely to buy the company. There was a report out earlier today. Let me quickly get it up. Lightshed Media, in their latest podcast, said that William Morris Endeavor, WME, who own UFC, could be a potential suitor. Yeah, which is obvious, but then they also said that they would only undertake that purchase if Vince McMahon was still involved in the company. So based on Endeavor, Vince McMahon was right, and that potential buyer really does want Vince to be involved in the sale of the company, and perhaps
it was a theory.
After that,
it was a theory.
Yeah,
they theorized.
Yeah, they theorized. They theorized that, but they also then tweeted it. So I think
something very interesting I would add to that, Ben.
Yep.
Is William Morris Endeavor owning the UFC, they have the gigantic media rights deal with ESPN for those pay-per-views and the fight nights, and even basically they've transferred that network similarly to the WWE network moving to Peacock in the United States. While Fight Pass is still the primary way to watch the UFC, stream the UFC internationally, the majority of it is on ESPN Plus at this point, and it's a little bit the best of both worlds, being that ESPN's owned by Disney. You have those relationships with the guys at the top of WME. And so I think that's one of those things where it's as big that they're interested because it is a best of both worlds type scenario. And I could see that being, this is speculation, but that being a reason for someone like Vince McMahon to go, oh, no, this is something we need to go on now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And of course, yeah, as you said, the media rights deal is coming up too. So it's very, very interesting. But I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it one last time, just to make sure, to get it through to anybody who's interested in this, right? WWE could be sold, but it'll be to one of 4 companies, and those 4 companies would likely to be to one of those 4 companies, and those 4 companies are WME, otherwise known as Endeavor, Comcast, NBC Universal, or Disney. They will not sell to Triple H or Stephanie McMahon, as they do not have the funds and would have to create a consortium, and it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to do that. They could. Another option people are saying is Tony Khan, but he does not have the money either. His dad does have the money, but he would have to, use a lot of that money in order to buy the company, and it's unrealistic, and WWE would likely not sell to them anyway. So it's likely to be one of WME, NBC Universal, Comcast, or Disney. Bill Main is in the comments saying, oh God, I hope they don't sell to Disney. And that was what Vince McMahon and Nick Khan wanted. That they were the leaders last year. They were who they were trying to gear the product towards. However, a bid was never made. NBC actually seemed more interested at the time. But as we just said, the reports coming out today theorize that Endeavor could be currently the leaders in this. But yeah, we've had quite a few comments now, so I'll quickly go over the comments. Belle Renette is saying, I don't know if it's because of Voldemort or because of Twitter, but my mental is not doing okay right now. Oh gosh, but not that he was doing okay this morning anyway. I call him Voldemort, by the way, if you're wondering. Right, okay, Vince McMahon.
I totally hear where you're coming from with the allegations, right, Allison? And I understand. As wrestling fans, you know, that's something that's so out of our control, and I hear we're being upset by that. The allegations are you know, atrocious, and but I don't think it is going to. Hopefully, I don't believe that it's going to be something that affects the product. If there's any good light at the end of the tunnel on that, I do believe that you know, Triple H is going to retain control and stuff of that side. And so that if there is one positive of it, it doesn't seem that we're going to get Vince McMahon booking again. Not that makes up for anything that has been, you know, alleged or in truth of it. Not that it makes up for that, but it's something that's so out of our control as fans. It's one of those things.
No, it isn't great. And one thing I want to add quickly as well about if at Disney or any company buying it, the original plan when Vince was in charge was for whatever company buys WWE to basically take Nick Khan's position, where everything else would still be in place. The creative at the time that did include Vince McMahon to be in place and all that, but basically the Disney or whatever would take Nick Khan's position and WWE would report to him, but the creative, you know, would stay the same. Now, of course, whether or not the new company would want Vince to be in charge is, you know, of creative is another thing. But we can hope, all we can do is hope that it'll stay the same as it is now. And if they listen to fans, which you'd hope any of these companies would be smart enough to do, then they'd know that not to bring Vince back into creative. In another capacity, who knows? Bell said you as well. I don't want wrestling to become a monopoly. TK or his father buying it would make it one. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's going to be one of the four. It's going to be WME, otherwise known as Endeavor, Comcast, NBC Universal, or Disney. It's a tongue twister getting all those right each time.
It is, but I'm in complete agreement, by the way, on the wrestling monopoly thing. You know, I think unintentionally, after the WCW acquisition back in the day, it for a time did become one in a sense with WWE. I actually thought they took measures with the brand split and all of that to try to supplement that in a way. Yeah. Which I do have to give them credit for, but I'm in total agreement on not that, and I'm an AEW fan and a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan, but I like having the multiple products. I think it's better for both. I think it's better for the whole industry, and I'm in complete agreement with that comment there.
No, I mean, Coby, would you be able to get up the tweets from Tony Khan today, and screen share them in a couple minutes? Because
I can.
That'll cheer us all up a bit as well. Because I'm not always a fan of Tony Khan on Twitter. I've said about it on the podcast in the past. I've said about it on Twitter in the past. But today it was funny. It was good promotion for him. I liked his tweets today. They were not low blow insults or whatever. It was genuinely funny.
They were playful and funny, and I thought they were fair too, right? It was like it was very it was like the classy way to make a joke, you know. I had no issue with it. I in fact I cracked up at both. Like I thought they were really well done.
Yeah, and Jacob saying here Hasbulla could be making an appearance if WME buy it.
He's signed. That's an excellent point. He's signed.
That would be
Hasbulla Swoggle Mania 42. Book it now.
Might be Mania 41.
39. Yeah, 39. Book it. Book it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how quickly this is going to move. It's you know, it's probably going to be within the next year. You'd have to presume at this point if you were going to make a guess at it, but. I mean, I honestly don't think that Nick Khan or Stephanie McMahon were that interested in selling before, but now they've got to. Right, here's Tony Khan's Twitter today.
Wait, do you have the? Yeah,
there it is at the top. Everyone at work is being so nice to me these past 24 hours. I wonder why. It must be belated holiday spirit. And then he promotes a Rampage as usual. But yeah, that was quite funny. Yeah, and then
that's just a retweet. The meme's funny, but that is just, let's be clear, Tony didn't post that one himself.
But he replied to it though. How did you get a photo of me from last night?
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, Bill Main here saying WME might be interested as they own UFC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and combat sports in general, right? Ari Emanuel is a clearly interested across the board. I mean, he's dipped his toes in boxing. He's dipped his toes in more than dipped his toes. He's jumped in headfirst on UFC. And to add the WWE to that lineup does make a heck of a lot of sense.
Oh, and Soul here in the comments making a joke saying, get ready to see Uncle Howdy at Magic Kingdom. It's not going to be like that if Disney buy it. It's not. It's not going to turn into something.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to make them money. Like if it happens, like you can't hate them for making a business decision.
I'll say this, by the way, guys, because I love the comment. I'm excited if either Universal or Disney buy them. Can they please put the physical Hall of Fame at Disneyland or Universal Studios, which are both driving distance from my house, so I can go hang out and check out the Hall of Fame? If that happens, okay, I'm in, right? I mean, we need that physical Hall of Fame. Those are logical places you could put it. Disneyland, Universal Studios. Speaking of things to be booked, looking at positives, if there is a sale to one of those two, that wouldn't be a bad one. I mean, that'd be kind of fun to be able to go, do a bunch of roller coasters and then check out the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that would be a blast, to be fair. I mean, I definitely would not be opposed to that in the slightest. But I mean, yeah, honestly, right. There's one decision which we're all worried about, and that decision is: are they going to are they going to keep creative the same? If the answer is yes, then Disney would be a fantastic buyer for them. Fantastic, and that's why they wanted them. If NBC was the buyer, that would be good too. Of course, it'd be good too. But I mean, I personally would have a little bit more faith in Disney, but because Disney's not a company I can ever be seen being sold to anybody. Whereas NBC, you never know if the possibility of them ever getting sold again is possible. I mean, you could say the same about Endeavor as well. And
except for that, I think there's precedent with Endeavor because of their acquisition of the UFC and leaving Dana White in charge the way they did and letting it run the way it had, but funneling more money into it and negotiating better television rights deals and better pay-per-view deals. I do think that there's more precedent with Endeavor than any of the other options as far as this specific type of a transitional period, right? Like they've all had major acquisitions over the years, each one we've named, but the way that Endeavor handled the UFC, I think it makes sense that they could easily exactly. That's a great call, by the way, too. Owner of 9 teams in the minors. They've got a great hand promotionally there too. I believe, is it Jacob could comment on that, but I believe they actually have the team that does the dances between innings, which like totally boosted attendance. I believe that's one of the teams they owned. You can fact check me on that, but I do think that they own that team. But yeah, just for the transition, I think it would make a heck of a lot of sense. They kind of know what they're doing while they'll, influence some things. They're not going to really try to put their hands in the cookie jar and change the whole product or what's made it successful. The UFC aesthetically didn't change much under Endeavor. I don't think the WWE would either. Yeah.
And Souls, you're joking about seeing Marvel belts and costumes in WWE. It won't happen. It's just like you don't see Mickey Mouse showing up in Disney, right? Sorry, not in Disney. You don't see Mickey Mouse showing up in Marvel, right? It's not gonna be like that as well. And Bill Main's joking. Book Roger Rabbit style cartoon and live action War Games Disney.
I'm in. War Games Disney would be.
Oh my gosh,
that would be fascinating to say the least.
Honestly, the other thing about it, if it does go to Disney, there would just be a lot more money invested into it, right? And there'd be a lot more money into other shows, possible, cartoons and stuff like WWE's tried to do over the years. I actually would personally love to see a Disney deal. I'd love to see a WWE and Disney deal. As long as they keep creative the same, then I really do believe that that's the best in terms of investment for WWE. However, who do I think is the most likely? And it does look like WME is most likely to buy the company at this moment in time. And Jacob now was also saying that is they do, that is correct in regards to Clark's statement. They also have a stake in UEFA, surprisingly, which is, by the way, if you guys don't know, it's the European governing board for football, basically the FIFA of Europe. Definitely should be a lot of investment. They obviously clearly have a lot of money as well. Yeah, but I mean, I just meant that in terms of Disney, you know, in terms of stuff like cartoons and all that stuff, which WWE's tried to get into for years. They're obviously experts at it on Disney Plus, like the What If series and something like that you could see. You could see something like that for WWE. What If for past storylines, and that would be cool. Because they're doing it for other things now other than Marvel, I believe, as well, the What If. So it's, and then Bell Hughes joking, WrestleMania 40 coming to Disney Plus. That is the one thing, though, which is why it was stupid well, not stupid, because it was a really good deal for them. But the one thing which I think always put Disney off is the fact that they've got a deal with Peacock. Like, it's a rival streaming service, and they're locked in that for, I believe, 5 years, if I'm correct in saying that. Maybe I'll need to be fact-checked on that. But yeah, I believe that. And Bill Manger jumping in. I agree that Disney is the most stable option. If they grab it, I really hope they do keep the creative on the trajectory that has been post-Vince McMahon. The one thing I want to say, guys, right? Remember this time last week or something like that, just over this time last week, everyone was complaining about Triple H's booking, saying, you know, hasn't improved much. And now everybody's saying about, no, we can't have Vince back. Praise the man. Praise Triple H. We've been saying it. Well, what are your thoughts on this situation, Coby?
It's the double standard. Like, you're gonna have something happen, and then it's gonna be like, oh well, if something's gonna threaten to remove it, they're gonna be like, oh, but we love it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, he's made the hiccups. We're not gonna say he hasn't. We're not gonna say Tony Khan hasn't made hiccups either. At the end of the day, if WWE didn't care and Vince decided to take over, you're gonna miss Triple H when he's gone. And that's that fun song. We've heard it before. Was it Anna Kendrick's song?
I don't know.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly, but there was a song that had that line.
I mean, the only thing I would say, though, is I think the allegations, Coby, aren't exactly a hiccup, right? Like, the creative stuff, that would be hiccups, and like those criticisms, but I think that's kind of the difference to compare him directly to TK like that. Right? TK hasn't exactly had like an employee. Right?
We're talking from a booking standpoint. They've both made hiccups. We're not saying Tony Khan's
right
paying hush money, and if he was
exactly
shocking, but we're not. We're saying from the standpoint of the booking, they've all had
just creatively.
But you're at the end of the day, you're gonna if you're complaining about Triple H now, you're gonna complain that we lost him at the end of the day if we did.
Yeah.
Like it's like Daniel Bryan used to say, fickle.
It's exactly it's true that. And Bell Hughes back in the comments saying it's not on Peacock internationally, which is completely true. But here's the thing: WWE want to get rid of the WWE network internationally. So it basically it's just difficult because they need to find streaming platforms. Like, you know, it's just like the TV deal internationally, where they're on, you know, different streaming, different television networks across the world. It was going to be the same with WWE. However, if Disney bought them, it would be on the same one, which I'm going to be honest, probably be a better situation than everybody having different streaming services, which is likely the current plan under Nick Khan. But that was their idea basically on how to make it most profitable worldwide, which is probably correct. Bill, you're saying, I don't believe in fact checking. I chose to live in 1995 in terms of my fact checking. If BS sounds plausible and interesting, I'm in.
We'll take it, Bill. I like it.
Souls now to WWE 2024. It all comes tumbling down. No. It's gonna be fine.
Soul wouldn't even want that.
No, of course. He pretends to hate WWE. He pretends to be, an AEW mark. He was delighted yesterday when they said Money in the Bank was coming to the UK. So I'm sure.
I mean,
You'll be happy with it.
his wallet isn't going to be.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think any of our wallets are going to be happy when they come to town. But WME have IMG as a subsidiary, so they're experts within the talent management side of things worldwide. Not sure if that edges them over the others. I mean, it's going to come down to whoever offers them the most money. And I think WME would be willing to put an offer in. I think I'd be surprised if Comcast didn't as well. Disney, I think if Disney put an offer in, they'll get it, but I don't know if they're going to make the offer. I think that's the main point there. And same for NBC and Universal, but
He did make a great point about the IMG connection, though, with them. That is a major factor in what makes them so valuable to the WWE right? Obviously, even though in theory, you're thinking about how valuable the WWE is to WME, for something so personal like Vince's family business like this, given the comeback, who you're selling it to, their value and how they're going to carry it forward is just as important. And I think that the IMG point made a lot of sense.
No, I completely agree. It was a fantastic point from Jacob in the comments there. But yeah, it's a really crazy time now. And of course, we said last week there was no way 2023 was going to top 2022. Maybe, just maybe, it could. It's been a crazy first 6 stages of the year. Sasha Banks in New Japan, Vince McMahon's back, and WWE is probably being sold.
Dynamite rebrand, everything.
Dynamite rebrand as well. But
yeah, but
what are your thoughts?
They didn't just randomly do it, so I wouldn't consider that a 2023
Still in the beginning of the year. It's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah. What do you think about this entire situation, Clark? What do you think about a possible sale? Do you think this is the right time for the company to really sell?
I think Vince thinks it is. And I think he made that pretty obvious this week, I guess. And that seems like kind of a softball take there. But I mean, I don't see any other reason for Vince to do this other than to sell. And to make sure his hands and his name are on all of that in the negotiations, wherever it does go. I don't necessarily think it's like a bad time to sell at all, because I mean, we saw what the stock price did today. We saw all kinds of, this has been a crazy year in wrestling, like we talked about, right? The tons of news stories. I feel like it's on the way up in a way it hasn't been in decades. So I do find the timing fascinating, and I think the detail about the board members stepping down and the investigation. This is one of those things where I wish I had a better answer, but I'm like, I just got to kind of see how it plays out. I think the WME speculation or Endeavor speculation makes a ton of sense to me. I think the other three also make a ton of sense to me. As a fan, I hope Triple H stays in charge of creative. Stephanie stays on in her role. I think for the sake of the whole industry, that's been a huge positive impact over the last, 6 months. And so those would be my biggest takeaways. And then other than that, the investigation thing just hasn't gone away, and it's not gonna anytime soon. And the way that's going to play a role in this is it's sketchy, it's weird, and it's one of those things that you just hope that the WWE ends up in good hands for us as fans, where we continue to get good storylines, good creative, good production, sold out shows, and we can keep being big wrestling fans without something bad happening to what we would all call probably the flagship or the number one brand in the industry. It would be a shame if this ended up being a detriment to pro wrestling as a whole.
Yeah, of course. We all, we're all hoping that it doesn't have a negative impact on wrestling, but it does leave a bad taste in your mouth. You're completely right about that, and it's you got to look at it as, where the WWE really, like, how can they make it not look bad that somebody who they likely proven guilty, because they never clarified the results of the investigation, but they would have said if he was innocent. They would have said.
Right.
So it's, and I mean, Wall Street Journal, of course, claim that it's basically a fact that he did do these things. But we'll just have to wait and see. And Keith saying here, to be on a fly on the wall, to be a fly on the wall of these negotiations.
That's a great call.
It would. It would be interesting. This is going to be a crazy time for wrestling news now coming up. But in case you're just joining us, I'll quickly clarify it once again. WWE likely will be sold. However, it will not be sold as Stephanie McMahon or Triple H, as they do not have the funds to do it. And if they did have the funds to do it, they'd basically need a consortium in order to do it. And it's just unlikely to happen. Tony Khan would have to get his dad's money, would have to get his dad involved for his dad's money. And that's very unlikely to happen because his dad's, probably got other plans. And also WWE are very unlikely to sell to him anyway. So you might be asking yourself, who are the 4 companies who would buy it? And they are WME Endeavor, Comcast, NBC Universal, and of course Disney. They're the 4 who are most likely to buy it this time, we are speculating. And yeah, I mean, WME at this moment in time does look like the most obvious choice. However, if Disney comes in negotiations at any point, I really can see them winning, but it's just if they do come in or they don't. But it's going to be crazy in a few weeks here. Of course, make sure to always, check out WrestlingRepublic.com. Check out our Instagram at Wrestling Republic. Check out our Twitter at Wrestling Republic with only one S. And yeah, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications, and we'll make sure to keep you updated. And Jacob's asking you, is there any potential in another, company getting involved, especially if the stock the stocks continue to rise? Absolutely, there is. It's like it will be an established company who buys it. That is, it's not going to be some randomer who buys it, because it just wouldn't happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I can't think of any other companies, and a lot of industry experts haven't brought up any other names of companies either. But I mean, there is options out there. I mean, I don't know, Clark, do you know of any others who you would be interested?
Off the top of my head, I would think you would have to. I don't think it could be like a single person. I think it would have to be like a group, sort of like the investment group that bought like the Los Angeles Dodgers, where it was, they had like kind of the face of the group in Magic Johnson at the time. Then they had more money and they kind of came together, and something like that maybe, or something like I don't think it's going to be somebody like a big name single person comes in and just becomes the new share. That's not going to happen. It's going to be like a media type company, a company with media rights relationships, a company that is trying to take it into the future with all of that already in place. I don't think it's going to be a group as if you'd see them buying like a professional sports team per se.
No, exactly. I don't think it's going to be a consortium at all. Who does even buy it?
Because thank you. Yeah.
They need, as you said, they need to have one reliability as well for the stock, because you don't want the stock to plummet. Doesn't NBC Universal own TBS?
Does
it? I
don't believe so, because they're CBS.
Do they own Warner?
I don't think they do now.
I'm not 100% sure on that, by the way. Actually, I probably should know that off the top of my head. I apologize.
No, but Warner has its. I'd be shocked if they did as well, considering NBC has its own.
I don't believe so, because TBS, True, TNT, and CBS are all linked for like the NCAA tournament and all of those type of shows, programming wise. And I don't think CBS and NBC Universal are right. Yeah, they're owned by separate.
I'm confident they're completely separate.
Yeah, I believe they are separate.
Yeah, Jacob said in the chat, I don't know what the source of this is, but he's saying that he's seen that NBC are already preparing an initial offer. That would not surprise me too much. I mean, I'm sure all these companies today are, having meetings now straight away.
100%.
And I mean, it's weird that this come out on a Friday, I guess, because there's no time to discuss it over the weekend for them.
He retired on a Friday.
That's what I mean. In fairness, that was so that the news cycle would, it would for the stock prices. That
waited
was
till
the
it closed.
Yeah. That was the reason for that. But this really doesn't make any sense. Surely it'd be the best interest to do it like on a Monday and then have other companies discuss it. Maybe they worried again about which way the stock was going to go, but it's gone well. So it's not great. But I mean. It's gonna be an interesting one for sure. Keith saying any ballpark number on how much it may be sold for. The number which has gone around for like a year now online is that it's around $2 billion. but I think it might be a little more than that. Maybe it might be a little less, but we really don't know. I really cannot see it going for under 2 billion. Some people have said. I think I can't remember who it was before. Maybe it was Meltzer. Might be wrong on this. That said between 1.4 and 3 point something was the estimate. But yeah, Rick Taylor in the comments saying Amazon.
Amazon, great call.
That is a great call.
Fascinating call. I did not think about that.
No, I mean,
With
that is a good one.
And that's very good. That is a very good call.
Could they? I don't know. It's just whether or not. Somebody said under 4 billion. Yeah, it'll definitely be under 4 billion.
I think the interest would be the only thing, but no, I mean that would be a player that we haven't mentioned yet, right? They definitely have the money. They definitely have the media stuff. That is an excellent call.
Yeah, no, that certainly is a great call. I mean, okay, maybe that could be a fifth contender then, but yeah, there's no reports counting of their interest, whereas the other four, there are a lot of rumors because they all have involvement one way and another in WWE or, in the case of Endeavor, companies similar to WWE. And of course, the report came out today theorizing that Endeavor are interested. So if you want to believe that, then yeah, that means that those four companies already concretely are interested. And then whether or not Amazon join the race, who knows? Whether or not a consortium joins the race, who knows? I doubt it about a consortium, but Amazon Prime could well. Amazon could well do it. Yeah. And the WWE Network comes to Prime Video. Who knows? But the thing which gives NBC the advantage is I'm pretty sure there's another 3 years on the Peacock deal.
It was a long-term deal when they did.
Yeah.
It was a long-term deal.
It was a ridiculously good money-wise for WWE. It was a ridiculously good business deal. But for the perspective of a sale, it's really, really bad. Yeah, but it was very lucrative, way more than they were getting from the network. But yeah, for a sale, it's really not that great. But anyway, guys, I think it's time to basically wrap it up now. Yeah. But we've had a ton of new viewers who've suddenly just joined us right now. So for one last final time, I'm going to say it one final time. Could WWE be sold? Yes. Will it be to Stephanie McMahon and Triple H? No. They don't have the money for it. Could it be to Tony Khan? Very, very unlikely, as they wouldn't sell to him, and he'd need to use his dad's money, and his dad likely has other plans. So the four companies which it could well be is WME, which is also known as Endeavor, NBC Universal, Disney, or Comcast. And of course, another potential option, which we're not talking about, which could well be an option, is is Amazon. So yeah, those are all the options. Yeah, thank you for joining us, everyone, today. It's been great to see tons of people in the comments. We do this daily. The time changes some days, but we always put it on the Instagram page so you can see when it starts. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Same time, same place. See you tomorrow.